I started listening to this book last night while I was running called The Gap and the Gain. It was recommended to me by an old entrepreneur organization accelerator group mentor. And it was really interesting because right before I listened to the book, I was telling Lindsay on the way to a dance competition that um, I was having trouble feeling happy in my life until after I had accomplished some incredible breakthrough in my business. And then for a few weeks, or maybe a month or two, I would feel confident. I would feel like I loved myself. I accepted myself. I was happy with myself. And I was able to share that love and confidence and happiness with other people around me and feel really connected to the world. And then it would go away. I would go back to normal. And in this book, it talks about the hedonic horizon. Hedonic, I don't know. Anyway, there's this idea that humans, all of us, when we achieve something, um, we feel excited for a little while, and then we go back to how we were feeling before. And the goal or the aspiration or our vision of the ideal scenario that we're pursuing, it's like it's on like a horizon where you're constantly moving toward it, but it's constantly moving further away. So then you have to ask the question, well, how, if we're constantly in this feeling of lack and not feeling fulfilled or only feeling happy for a short time, then like Thomas Jefferson said that in the Declaration of Independence, that we had this right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. When you're pursuing something, you're basically suggesting or accepting the fact that you don't already have it. And so is this just the condition of man, that we're always pursuing something that we'll never really have, we'll never really feel satisfied, never really feel like we're living at our potential? Or what's the solution to this dilemma? He talked about examples of entrepreneurs. The co-author of the book is Dan Sullivan, who's the founder of Strategic Coach, and they coach high achievers, high achieving entrepreneurs, those that are very successful in business already, and then leveling up even beyond that. And in coaching these high achievers, he noticed that this flaw of sort of achieving incredible things and then never really feeling satisfied, never really feeling like they really enjoyed their success was very common. In fact, among CEOs, for instance, depression is twice as likely as the general population, and drug abuse and alcohol use and other things. So why is an example where he was at a dinner party with some entrepreneur friends, and one guy was just down on himself. It was negative. It was becoming annoying to the group how negative this guy was about himself. He had set this incredible goal for his business. He had achieved the goal. But when he achieved the goal, when he's reflecting on achieving the goal, he then pivoted his perspective and talked about this ideal that he was still lacking. So even though there was a clear measurable that he had achieved, he then reflected on the gap between him, his current position or where he was, and this ideal that was completely unrealistic. In my own life, I've often thought of this analogy that I'm a mule pulling a heavy cart. And a part of me is that mule. It's the doer self, and then the other part of me is this master self, sitting in the cart, whipping the mule over and over, telling the mule, "You're not good enough. You're not good enough. Go faster. Go harder." Meanwhile, this mule has done incredible work, but it never feels worthy of any kind of celebration. Never feels lasting happiness or true satisfaction and connection. The reality is, there's always the opportunity to measure myself, ourselves, against the gap between where we are and where we think we should be, where we want to be, where the ideal scenario would leave us. And if we do that, and if that's what we're focused on, we will always feel negative about our current situation. It's okay to have a really emboldening, exciting vision of a clear future that we're moving toward. But if we're judging our performance, we're judging where we are, if we're looking at the gap between ourselves and that eventual outcome, which, by the way, is a moving target, then we will always feel unhappy. We will always feel lacking. We will always feel unworthy um, not confident, unable. We'll always feel in the state of lack, of gap. And instead, the book talks about, and I just started this book, so I don't, I'm not very far into it, but it talks about what if we instead spend most of our time focused on and looking at where we started and where we are now, and looking at appreciating, embracing, celebrating the gain that we've made. Now, the author of this book reflects that even though he studied this for a long time, he's been talking about this in a strategic coaching program since the 90s, he still, at least 5, 6, 7, 8 times a day, finds himself in the gap. And so this isn't something that once we have this mindset shift, where we understand the difference between gap and gain, that we want to spend most of our time in the gain, doesn't mean we won't continue to think in a gap type thinking. However, and we're not going to be perfect about this, but just like someone sailing on a boat is going to be off course 98% of the time, and they're constantly course correcting. It's just increasing our awareness about gap thinking and turning it into gain thinking. That's the important thing. The point they made so far in the book that I really love is they made the point that whoever fails the most is going to be the most successful, because to fail means you're actually in the game. You're actually relevant. You're doing things. And the gain in life is learning. And so lots and lots and lots and lots of failure helps someone learn faster. And so every failure, every setback we have in life can be transformed into a gain when we learn the lesson, when we take that perspective of understanding how this is moving us forward. So my challenge to myself and to you, who I love, who might be watching this video, is appreciate yourself. Tell yourself that you're worthy of love, attention, affection, just because of where you are now, not because of anything that you lack. Deliberately look at where you've come and acknowledge, celebrate, embrace, enjoy, reflect on, journal about, think about all the progress that you've made. And let that feeling permeate your heart, your spirit, your mind, your body, so that you can be more now and in the future, instead of constantly putting yourself in a position of feeling that you lack, that you're not good enough, because that robs the present and the future of the positive energy that you could have to apply to connecting with people, loving, serving, growing, all of those great things. Love you.